All right, gang, here it is. This is the last chapter. In chapter 20, we deal, not in depth, but we deal with three different topics: virtualization, Linux, and the Mac OS X. Now, the basics of virtualization. Now, virtualization, that's when one physical machine, it'll host multiple activities that are normally done on multiple machines. Now, there are two general types of virtualization. We've got server-side virtualization and client-side virtualization. The basic difference between the two is where the virtualization or the virtualizing takes place. Now, we can have server-side virtualization, and that takes place on the server itself. Okay, we've got client-side, and that virtualization will take place on a client machine, or it could be through remote desktop. There's client side. Okay. We've got a couple types of hypervisors that we would use, which manages our, it manages our Hyper-V or Microsoft virtualization application. Okay. Now, to run virtualization, your BIOS has to be compatible with virtualization. All right. We've also got other types of virtualization software. We've got VMware or VirtualBox as well. So we're not stuck with just one type. And we move on. We can talk about a Linux operating system. I talked about it to a degree. Now, Linux is a Unix operating system, actually. Unix is the operating system, and Linux is a version of Unix. We've also got Kali, Ubuntu, got different types that we can use, and we've got courses on that. You can run different virtualization on a single machine, and I can run different operating systems on these different virtual machines. So a real, tangible, you can touch it, feel it, host system, a normal desktop computer, could have a variety of different virtual machines running on it that are networked together. You could have Win 10, Linux, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, Win 7, Win Server, Server 2016, Server 2012, virtual instances of all of those running at the same time on, let's say a Win 10 machine. As long as you have Hyper-V on that Windows 10 operating system, you could run those virtual machines. Now, sometimes instead of running virtual machines, we have the option to create more than one partition on the hard drive and install different operating systems on the different partitions. And we would boot to, say, a Linux partition or boot to a Windows partition. Just point to whichever one we wanted to go ahead and boot to. Now, that does get kind of awkward at times, but it is an option. We don't talk much about the Mac OS. Now, it's the latest version. It's OS X, the latest version of the proprietary operating system, only available for Macintosh computers by Apple. It's kind of like Linux. OS X is built on a Unix foundation. Now, the first Mac OS was released in '84, and the final classic Mac OS, it was called Mac OS 9, was released in 1999. Now, we've got different versions along the way, and if you decide, you can spend some time getting comfortable and finding your way through. a Mac system. Okay? So we need to be sure that we take care of everything that we're dealing with along the way. And things we don't want to take lightly is safety, security, and the well-being of the machines that we're working on. So make sure you use the right tools. If you need to wear a grounding strap, whatever it may be, make sure that we take our time and think before we act so that our actions are safe, not just for us, but they also protect the devices that we're working on. Okay? It's been a great course. I'm glad you took the time, and I'm hoping you walked away with a bunch of tools in your tool belt. Okay? I'll see you in another class, and thanks again.